Hey, look, Menulog.
Opposite of bright, but warm.
But starting with a B?
Yes.
Brim torch.
Brew.
Opposite of white.
Black?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, right. That's
Give one more word in there.
frost.
Black touch.
Opposite of
Torch.
frost.
Black torch.
Oh my god,
Black
is it black
star.
fire?
Yes.
What was the other part?
Torch. Yeah.
Oh,
I was
okay.
listening.
Hey, we got it. Baby steps, guys.
Okay.
Baby steps. All right. Just, trying to get there. Eventually, it's step by step, word
No
by
idea,
word,
bro.
putting it all together. It's like maths, but words. It's what we love to have. It's what you love to see. But of course, what else you love to see is one of these teams playing one of these other teams. Those teams happen to be in the top 4 right now. And it's a good match coming up. Now, look one of these teams, Skimmy, is
Yes.
Pentanet. Tell me about him.
Yeah, Pentanet. Well, this really is the battle for third, isn't it? The upper bracket advantage. Pentanet started off a little bit shaky at times. Individuals, maybe communication issues, but individuals not really feeling cohesive. Certainly a big change. A lot stronger. They've had their strong moments individually, but coming together as a very well-rounded team and leveling up at just the right time for playoffs.
Yeah, about as cohesive as my intro to the match there sometimes. And then other times, look, they look like a bloody, world's level team. And we got a second team to talk about, which could be a world's level team. Of course, they need to win a few more. That, of course, is Order Rusty. So talk to me about what they can do today to take down Penta.
I mean, it's an uphill battle for Order for sure, but we've seen so many different positives from them at different times that you can't help but think there's always a shot that Order can take you down, right? I'm actually very excited to watch this team when it comes to best of fives, just to see what they're really capable of when it comes to the crunch. They do have a lot of very calm personality types, it feels like, so they'll be very suited to that type of environment. Yesterday, we saw them play with a Pike type of composition, right? So they mixed it up a little bit, and it felt like the biggest issue that they ran into was they lost direction come mid-game, and Peace, the team that they were losing to, eventually just kind of run over them. But we have seen some fantastic games, honestly, Mac, the last time PGG and Order played against each other. I believe they're 1-1 in head-to-head.
Yeah.
I think they are as well. So that makes this match that little bit more important, because if PGG cops some L's and Order get some dubs, well, then all of a sudden, if they're tied at the end of this split, at the end of round 3, they're going to be able to have that slight edge. And of course, you want to be in 3rd place, not 4th place, because that buys you an extra life in that first day of playoffs. So this match, arguably one of the most important we're probably going to see for the next couple of weeks, Skimmy.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, upper bracket advantage is just so important. Also mental checks as well. The fact that if you do get the head-to-head, you've got that slight little lead going into the playoffs saying that we're better than you. Whether or not that will account for too much of these teams with some of the experience that they have. But, I mean, 1-to-1, you can't ask for much more. For me, the huge focus has to go towards jungle and AD carry. Both of them have looked so influential in their team's victories when they have been banned. And you saw on that last occasion, Zeri let out the cage. It's certainly going to be banned this time.
And they all share relatively similar champion pools as well. But look, before we go deep into this one, we got a head-to-head video to have a look at. So let's hear from the players.
Order is an interesting team. I feel like they sit in a position in the middle where they're kind of gapped above and below. They're an awkward one, right? They're never a free win. They're never a huge threat. They always have the potential to win against every team, but they also have the potential to lose against every team.
I feel always confident against the teams we verse. I think Pentanet's no different. Mark can't play Caitlyn or Zeri, so that makes drafts a lot easier. He literally will just play Jinx or Helios. So for me, it's going to be like a very easy game.
The one that stands out to me is Biopanther. He is a psychopath, and Biopanther changes the way a team plays entirely. He has such a selfless, ridiculous champ pool and playstyle that there's just a whole lot happening when this guy's on your team.
I think we can take the 3rd spot. We've been on the up recently and we've been winning all our games. So if we just keep our consistent gameplay, we should just be able to topple them.
Orders, they got a great work ethic. They've given us good practice all year, and now they'll give us some stage practice. So thanks, boys.
They're not going to change their style at all. They're going to permaban Caitlyn Zeri because their AD carry can't play it. If he's not on a hyper carry, their team struggles. If he's on Jhin, they lose the game. They're not very surprising. I expect a free win.
So confidence from both
Why don't you
camps.
just
That's
juice
an
them,
interesting-
Mac? I've never seen Bio so savage.
Yeah.
It's savage. He was just being honest. I don't know. Is there a
but, like,
difference?
that's savage for Bio.
He's up
My
against
man's
his
is
old
always
teammate.
like smiling and bouncing. He's just so happy. He's thanking everyone, and like, he goes in interviews like, "Mark sucks. He only plays."
You
two
know what
champions."
it is? It must be pent-up anger from last season, spending all that time losing his own lane just to TP bot to help out Praetor.
Mark,
He
it's
must be
5
so
PM.
angry.
Are you awake?
Well, there's
Have you
that.
had your Fruit Loops, Mark?
I'm thinking it also, in that interview, it looked pretty, sunlighty in his room. And maybe it was too early for the interview, He could have been in a grumpy mood. Maybe just slept on the wrong side of the bed that day, which could be a detrimental factor. Fortunately, that wasn't today, that interview. Now, we do have Kitty to bring into the conversation, and Kitty's got someone to chat to as well. So, what do you have for the pregame?
So speaking of Biopanther, I've brought the other top laner in the game. So let's bring in Winterer for the interview. So Winterer, really important match today, guys. Going up against Order. It could determine who gets the upper bracket for playoffs. From your observations of Order, what is going to be PGG's win con?
As long as we can like put Kevi down, there is 0 win con for Order, and that is our win con. Yeah.
Well, Rusty actually said it will most likely be I believe, ADC or Battle of the Jungle, so that will definitely be something we will be looking out for. And PG has seen a lot of success since bringing on Chippies as coach, and him being a pro player turned coach who's had experience playing at Worlds, you being the top laner of PG, how has Coach Chippies benefited you specifically?
Well, he's been teaching me how to be a Chad, not a soy boy, and it's helping me a lot in terms of confidence in my gameplay. So yeah, thanks Chippies for being Chad.
Well, if you're coming in as the Chad, would you say that Biopanther's playstyle is soy boy?
I wouldn't call him a soy boy. Maybe soy baby. I don't know.
Well, hopefully we do see Soy Baby and Chad battle it out in the top lane tonight. Best of luck, Winterer, and see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Just Googling and checking
Soy
on
baby
Urban Dictionary.
and Chad.
What a soy baby
Chad
is.
Chaddington
Soy
Pop.
Baby.
Anyway, that's some spicy terms. Some
great.
new.
Yeah.
I don't think soy baby is actually it's new tech. Yeah, it's new tech. Doesn't exist. So Winterer, he's just creating stuff, in interviews before the game and just shedding out that disrespect. Now, if you enjoyed that disrespect, make sure you get those Twitch points in on PGG. But if you hated it and you're an Order fan, put them on Order instead. And I don't know which way this one's going to go for the Dare fan vote, of course. Get those Twitch points in for it. We can see what you guys think is going to happen here. And of course, you're going to be doing my predictions as well. And I always predict in Twitch chat, getting it correct, because I need you to, or we're going to lose. You and me. I dug the hole. You're sleeping in it with me. That's all I'm saying. Now let's have a look at the predictions. And let's see if there's any split decisions. No, you've all gone PGG. I thought this would be one of the games for sure where we'd see some separation in the ranks here. Kitty, tell me why you've gone with PGG.
I have gone with PGG because I do believe that although both jungles in this match that we're heading into have quite inconsistent performances, I would say I believe that Balkan has a more early game play style where if he gets the ball rolling in that early game, Kevi has no way of turning back.
Very true. Now, Rusty, you need to come back here, so why are you copying everyone's homework?
I mean, in my defense, I submitted these first yesterday.
okay.
Okay. So I'm not copying everyone's homework. They're copying me. They're being gate kept from first back. It's a serious issue.
It's horrible. Really horrible. Now, Skimmy, why are you gatekeeping Rusty? That's the follow-up
Skimmy.
question.
Well, I've got to make sure that he doesn't get too full of himself, right? As the big brains on the desk, so got to keep him humble at times.
Too late.
Very true.
Yeah.
Hashtag stay humble. You guys in Twitch chat apparently humbled as well. Rusty, you were right. They couldn't count to 10 last game. But fortunately, we got a second game today. So if you guys could count to 10 again,
No shot.
I'm going to be here making sure, everything's okay. I reckon there's some imposters in chat. I know it got fun last time, but we had a lot of doubled up numbers, a lot of interesting situations. And I'm hoping that you'll do a better job because I still believe that you guys can do it, all right? Now, look, we've got to jump on into the game. Champ Select's not quite ready yet, but I am expecting a spicy, spicy draft. Now, are we going to see Evelyn? That question is about to be answered because Camp Select's ready. I'll see you after this.
Beauty. Yeah, I think there's a lot of consideration as to what goes into this banning phase right now. You're looking at some very key champions that have to be banned away, things like the Evelyn, things like the Diana as well, similar champion pool in that regard. This final ban, would love to see a Zeri, unless they're considering of picking it up itself. Otherwise, it feels like a bit of a gamble, Rusty.
They have played it, so Praetor has played the Zeri. I think he got a quad on it one time that they played it, so it's not too surprising that that will exist for them. One of the reasons that I went for PGG as well, Skimmy, is I think the recipe of order has been discovered, right? Like, ban Diana, ban Evelyn, and then just try and have a winning bot lane matchup. You have the options of picking whatever ADC is the best in slot that they don't ban on red side as well. And I do think that they're pretty poised to succeed. Being on red side as well here for order doesn't seem like it's the be-all, end-all, right? Like, we're looking at Biopanther picking champions in top lane like the Malphite, which was really high value, but it's not a hard counter or anything, right? Like, it's not TN and Peace playing with red side last pick where you're actually terrified because it could be anything.
Yeah.
So I do think that what PGG have done so far has been mostly correct, and I'm very high hopes for the draft from here on.
If they can get that explosive bot lane, as you highlight, to give them that winning advantage. We know that they're a team that certainly look to try and push the tempo in laning phase, aren't afraid to take a 2v2. If the opposition entertains that idea, Leona and Zeri would fit the bill. At least Sin as well in the hands of somebody like Bao Khan would certainly offer them the engagement efforts they so sorely need.
Oh, you know what they might do, Skimmy? They might just... It depends on what they lock in here, but it could just be a 5p jungle angle. Viego's obviously a very high priority champion, so I'm not mad at that, right? With the Hecarim already taken off the board, and Lee Sin already locked in, so they knew the matchup. But I wouldn't have been shocked, right, if you had some kind of like Karthus type champion, right? The Kevy's able to play, because his pocket picks are game winning, are very much game and draft defining.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been surprised if that was a 5p jungle angle.
Question is though, do you think you can get away with a champion like a full farm Karthus into a team like Pentanet that are going to be so aggressive in that early station?
It is hard to say, but one advantage of Karthus, very specifically, is that you can run Exhaust Smite, right? So depending on what they pick, like a Lee Sin tries to Q, you have Exhaust. Suddenly jungling is a lot easier in the 1v1, and it's about having winning lanes. So there's definitely ways that champions like that can work. Karthus obviously being just a random example, even in that, still has an angle. So there's options, but nevertheless, we need to talk about what actually exists here, right? They've got the Nautilus Viego and a Veigar, so the threat of a reset for a Viego is there already. They have good damage mix between what is assumed to be mid and jungle. And this does leave open the option of a counter pick for top lane once again for Biopanther. But they haven't banned a lot of the standard champions, again, like their Graves. Maybe they still just want it to be a Graves, right? Graves Lee Sin isn't going to provide a lot of crowd control for a composition. Suddenly it's absurdly reliant on having a Lee Sin get ahead, or rather bot lane get ahead.
Yeah. I was just pondering on that Ari ban, because that's a first pick Veigar, and I was just wondering if there's ever a world would Puma play that in the bot lane. Would be niche, but I think that is the big difference between Puma and Praetor, that Puma does play mages. He has played things like the Brand, like the Ziggs, even he's played a Kindred in the bot lane last year, so there could have been a world in which that was flex. It still can be.
Yeah.
Just don't know.
That's why it's being held, right? That is the reason this is still considered flexible. You don't actually know what you're picking into the mid matchup. You assume it's a Veigar, but it could be anything, right? And if you go for like a Syndra and Kisei just whips out a Zed, what do, right? Like, you don't actually know what you're against. And I feel like this Vex pick isn't something that hard punishes Veigar at all. It's just a scaling lane. And it could just be a safety pick.
This has been a masterclass from Coach Series in weaving their way into a victory in the draft to get the 2-1 in that head-to-head. Grand reveal, it's a Kaiser. Even still, you're quite unsure.
Yeah, aren't you? Okay. So this could still be Veigar bottom, Kaiser mid. We're going to have to wait for them to finish those lock-ins. What we know is that it is a Sion Viego top side of the map into a Nah Lee Sin. Nah pretty comfortable with this matchup most of the time regardless, right? And in the Chad Chaddington versus Soy Baby matchup, I feel like Winter is very comfortable with his 1v1. Of course, the weak side Sion is the way to play. The fact that it is a Sion top lane, to me, indicates that it should probably just be a Kaiser AD and Veigar mid, but the issue that I'm looking at here is if I put myself into the shoes of Kevy and I'm trying to find a lane to gank for. Is everywhere not just losing?
Yeah, it is a bit of a rough circumstance as you highlight. I am very curious to see where he will look to try and pick those battles, because you look at top lane, for instance, you know what Biopemp is going to play. He's got a widely expansive champion pool, but he will play those tanks. He's gone for the Sign. The Nar's been put in place. We have seen Nars go the Trinity Force route. I do wonder if there's ever a shout now, in this particular circumstance, to go back towards Divine Sunder and just shred through that Science health bar.
Yeah, they have tools to deal with the Scion pretty well. Also just the kiting from the Zeri as time goes on. Vex is the one champion that works with the team, right? Because it's a nice dive pick, but it hasn't been picked into like a hectic mobility type of composition where the Vex itself gains value. So it is just a scaling control mage type of champion mid into a dive composition. That is the entirety of PGG in a nutshell. They have the threat of a 1-4 with a Gnar side laning as time passes. Whereas on the other side of the map, I think scaling is just the game plan, right? If you survive early, you're probably playing this game out as order, saying a 4k gold deficit is still winnable.
Sure. You just think about what the Veigar and the Kaiser are both going to offer you. Obviously, the Sign comes to the mix of things too. Viega with enough items, enough durability to find those resets, claiming souls. Very scary proposition. And I do feel like they've got some great tools to try and navigate the mobility that champions like Zeri, Lee Sin, even the Vex will have. Regardless, here we go. We are loading in to that second game of the night. It's a very important game for both these teams. Currently locked in third and fourth. Playoffs are secure, but it's all up for grabs in terms of seeding. Well, let's check in with the coach from the side of Pentanet, and welcome back Chippies for his second catch-up here on the broadcast with us. And I have to ask Chippies, you know, the circumstances are rather grand. It's a very big game for you tonight, obviously defending that upper bracket position. So how have you approached things?
I'd say I tried to make sure we're drafting to deny their advantages. So I think their team has a strong mid-jungle, but pretty weak sides. So I just made sure our mid-jungle was stronger. And, you know, the Korean boys will take it away.
No doubt about it. We have seen him do that rather consistently all split long. Was there any concerns as you were drafting, looking at that Veigar flex? Even us here on the desk were still unsure whether Kaiser and the Veigar would have gone with that fifth and final pick.
We knew it was a flex as soon as they picked it, so we weren't that worried. But I'm quite happy they picked something so weak early, because our team is probably the strongest early game team in LCO, and they just made it even easier for us.
No doubt about it. Well, I'm excited to see how this early game plays out and the result as a whole. And wish you boys the best of luck.
Thanks, big man. See ya.
Out of that one, and straight into the gulag of the action as the hook goes out from Corporal, but it's on to Rogue, who this time isn't going Glacial Augment. He himself famously said, be a Chad and play that one. Opted to go Aftershock this time.
I like the Glacial Augment against carry compositions, right? If Zeri's going to be hitting the Kaiser, then it makes a lot of sense. It just depends on how you're hooking, right? It also means that if Rogue wants to go forwards, the notorious melee 1v1 in carry situation in bot lane, most Leonas can out 1v1 most AD carries, right? Not on a Glacial field. You'll be doing reduced damage to your carry, so I like it. We are seeing a meta form here as well, Skimmy bot lane at 1 minute and 30 seconds in game. 4 champions are going to meet in the bush. It's just, it is written in the scriptures at this point.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a clear indicator again that no one is leashing for their jungler. So we are at a point now in the LCO, at least in the last 2 games, and fairly recently in general as well. But bot lanes, wow, Rogue's just taking a lot of health. But
He really has.
where bot lanes aren't leashing for their junglers at all. They have way too much priority and value placed on how their lane goes at level 1 and setting that up for either the level 2 spike or the level 1 all-in. And it seems like it's now just a handshake between every single team that is the play. And I don't mind it. I will always say that not leashing is preferable for a bot lane.
I think it's so important, especially into these 2 laners. Great dash away from what could have been a potential kill and a first blood as well. Both these two, Puma and Pradev, hold some of the highest records in a lot of those very impressive laning categories. The most gold difference, most XP difference, most CS difference, all by 10 minutes into this game. They've also got the highest first blood percentage, because we know they love to have a bit of a death in a 2v2, as we're seeing on display now. So it's going to be worth us checking in as to sort of what that looks like by the 10-minute mark and seeing if that is their win con again.
I do really like what Chippy said in that respect as well, right, Skimmy? Like, they are just so good early. And the enemy composition here from Order is so scaling. We noticed it through draft phase, right? You've got a Kai'Sa. It can't be AP, I don't think. With a Veigar in the comp. I mean, it could be, but then your composition's identity feels wrong, right? Like, you've got so many forward-moving AD champions, and then you just got a Kai'Sa just chilling behind the Veigar or something, right? Like, just trying to do his bit.
Yeah.
It's possible, but the enemy team is built to dive you anyway, so I think it would just be an AD angle. It could be all three, right? The triple evolve, perhaps. But the Veigar is also a scaling pick. The Scion is not a pick that just immediately wins top at all. I still think it's a scaling champion. Like, you're built to survive lane and then become unreasonably tanky later. So Kevy doesn't have gank angles, and you would expect... he has some gank angles, I will say. There's no cleanse in mid, right? Yuri's gone for teleport. There's a Veigar there, but really the onus is on PGG. They can do whatever they like. Their comp is so just like purpose-built for being aggressive, which is what they play like.
Sorry, do play aggressive, and you can see that's the reason that Balkan is here looking for that first kill. They're going to be upset. Rogue and Predator, that wall didn't get taken down. One charge still remains now. Balkan's investing a fair bit of time, hasn't been revealed. Kevy has no idea. Question is Corporal on? Once this wave falls down, does he hit the hook? No, Xenoblade comes out instead, instant flash away. Corporal taking no chances with that one.
Yeah, it was a nice flash though, right? The immediate disengage. Throwing the hook on the Leona E is a fantastic Nautilus favored interaction because the hook hits and then pushes you both away. So it actually puts you in Nautilus auto attack range, but Leona has to move, so you can just walk. Or, you know, have the reaction to flash when the Lee Sin shows. So that was really well played by the side of Order. Both supports are in fact Chads, as they have their Hex Flash Skimmy, so everything is as it should be. And I am not going to complain about anything. Just nice.
Happy man. Yeah, I like it when we don't get angry Rusty. We might see an angry bit of gaming though. In the bot lane, his first blood comes across. It's Rogue taking down Corporal. Supports trading blows. Rogue survives with a ticking potion. And Kevy just a little bit too late to the party.
Yeah, we'd have to watch that again. Yuri level 6 though is about to find Kevy on vision. Kevy sees him in response though. It should just be a free Drake, and we'd have to watch that 2v2 again from the start, right, to really understand what happened. But supports just seem to be butting heads off cooldown. Both had Ignite ready, and that was super close to just being a trade. But it could be as simple as Zeri having better positioning or Kai'Sa trying to trade in a minion wave where the Q loses damage. That was actually the difference in health.
That certainly was. Kisei's on here. Great safeguard away before the animation connects. Using that wind-up mechanic for sure. There was a moment I wondered if they were going to go for the dive with the Shadow Surge level 6, but obviously the safer play was to go for the Drake instead. Let's watch this back one more time.
Okay, so it is the hook forwards by the Nautilus. Puma is fighting in obviously a giant minion wave. I think that's what it comes down to, right? There was more minions hitting the Nautilus. There's no Aftershock on the Nautilus as well, where there is on the Leona. So W and Aftershock, just a little bit too tanky there from the Leona. Perhaps not the angle from Corporal trying to engage forwards himself onto Leona. Would rather be reciprocating the engage if Leona tries.
On here in top lane now. Two bruises, fighting heads as well. Do whatever they can to trim this wave and get themselves into a position and power to group up the rest of the team. Perhaps at 14 minutes, perhaps earlier. We'll have to wait and see. Fire has opted to go for the Fimbulwinter route with this tier in hand. Tech flashes are looking quite nice. I mean, it got Rogue out of the Dragon Pit when it could have been a kill on. Obviously allowing Corporal to be very roam heavy as he has been all split long too.
So a couple of points of consideration here, Skimmy. We've spoken at length about some of the individual champions on the side of Order, on the side of PGG. And I think we said this in draft. I said around 4,000, right? 4,000 deficit, you'd probably still be comfortable with if you're Order. I think that is still true. And so far, there's only been one kill, and that was a fight that Order enacted. So it's not that PGG have been doing anything wildly assertive or early game based yet on the map. We're at the point now where 8-minute map flips for Herald exist, right? Opportunities for turret plates exist, but generally speaking, if there's no kills and it's just Drake control and maybe a couple of plates here and there and then a Herald charge, I think Order is still so happy with that.
Yeah.
That they get to scale into the game, right? And we spoke about the risk of their comp taking so long to scale with multiple lanes, but if it gets there, I mean, they are a powerhouse.
Heavy face checking in the jungle, looking to try and disengage away. He's got a red buff, but his Zenith Blade connects. He's hit the smite on the enemy reds. Give himself some health back, hit the blast, going to disengage away, but he's made a corporal into a false sense. That's a great Shadow Surge. She's going in. It's going to be a 1v1. Kevy's going to jump in with a stun just out of range of the Zeri Zap for Predator to find his second of the game. But PG won't mind. More blood for them.
I think that was just doing too much from Order. Like, realistically, I think the play there was go for plates, bottom, and then disengage if PGG make their way down. Try and track perhaps through mid lane so that you see them coming. But they end up at the enemy red buff, right? With no real information. They face check PGG's bot lane. And so just a little bit too far with no information there gets punished nicely by Pentanet.gg.
Let's run it back one more time. It seems as if, Order are saying what's predictable what Pentanet are going to be doing. They're going to be going on the clock, taking things like Heralds, trying to get a lead. Let's invade, but maybe getting more than they bargained for.
Yeah, but this play doesn't have Puma involved, right? Like, it is literally just Kevy and Corporal trying to make something happen at the red buff, and they're taking a 2v2. So if you're playing towards the numbers advantage you have on the map, there is objectively just gold sitting there on a turret plate, but they choose to go for just a little bit too far. And so the punish was really nice, and it was super fast by PGG. And I think this is the second time now, Skimmy, we've seen an instance of Order just like 1% too far forward, getting punished really nicely by the team that wants the early lead.
Yeah, and I think it cycles back into your point about wanting a 4K, or big of a 4K lead if you're Pentanet, right? It's going to be predictable that you're going to be wanting to try and push the tempo to take dragons, acquire an early soul point, acquire heralds for plates for gold from that pressure. But what are you always trading for an Order, unfortunately for them? As you saw, weren't able to include Puma, and be hoping for another moment which they can shine when that next Drake is up, which is in 45 seconds. Don't expect Order to contest that one.
No, I do think
see what they can do elsewhere.
Probably like a 3 Drake seed type of game,
Yeah.
You might sneak a Drake if they go for like Herald 2 and that times with Drake or something of the likes, but like realistically you're just trying to get gold into your teammates, get Qs onto the Veigar, Baleful Strike, literally everything possible, have the blue buff there. I would not be mad at conceding a Drake with no contest.
Well, we reminded viewers earlier in the day, or early in the game I should say, early in the day, it is early in the day still, 10 minutes in, what would it mean for these two AD carries? Well, Predator's already got his Mythic item complete, he's got no boots, but he's got a Trinity Force, he is packing a very significant punch. If members are in close proximity for him. Second Drake is there, instant flash away from Balkan as a roaming Veigar runs through bot river.
I mean, a face check ends up becoming a summoner spell trade. That's really unexpected. Herald going to be summoned bot though, that is the play that PGG were realistically after. Just got a cheeky flash out of the Nautilus regardless. They almost kill it. Kevy had like 1 second on Smite.
Yeah. Onto the second dragon we go. Kisei! Oh, he's been flashed, he's been travelled! The Shadow Surge is there, and Kisei has been played. Drake secured, kill found, and Kevy's in. Instant Dragon's Rage away as Balkan trades blows for things. Corporal runs in, knocks up 2 for the disengage, but they've lost 2 in the process. Yuri wants more. Predator's already on a double kill. They won't find much more than that.
Yeah, nice cleanse by Puma for the disengage, but that's both summoners used. That's flashes from literally almost everybody that was involved in that fight, and it's just heavily favored towards Pentanet.gg. The Drake, as we expected, is theirs, but they get the fight after. They get the turret plates in bottom lane as well, and the game goes from like a 1,000, 2,000 gold. Now it's up to 3, and the map control that Pentanet.gg have is steadily growing. Because Order didn't take away the free gold on the other side of the map during this. They did choose to contest, and to me that's a very curious decision. I wonder if they could have just happily conceded that one. I don't mind getting the flash from Balkan, right? They're fighting to deal with the Herald, I get that. Was the fight necessary?
All I can imagine is Kisei is screaming, I've got an angle. Maybe not anticipating the fact that Rogue would just flash forward like this. The fact that the Zenith Blade goes through, easy connect in for the Vex after.
Rogue ruins his life.
Yeah.
Like, just straight up, the flash always gets followed. Leads him with a nice kick there as well, right? Just kicks Kevy straight into Corporal, so they start to look for the next. You'll get an instant cleanse from Puma on the disengage, and that is it for the fight. But it's the fact the fight happened, right? Kisei separated from the rest of his team, just gets owned by Rogue. Just straight up.
We're going again. Kevy's still retreating, forced to cancel that recall. Bio's been stunned. He's very tanky, rushing a Frozen Heart. Easier said than done to take this one down. The wind-up of a stun and a combo with a Kevy is all but decimated by the kick to disengage from Balkan.
Order this time around will be looking for the plates in bottom lane. Praetor by himself for the moment. Yuri on the way down. The ultimate range is super long. He's going to chuck it and just completely on vision with those Skimmy.
Yeah, they had a very big level advantage. Would have been quite devastating if they were able to connect on that front.
It's really a Hail Mary though. He has no idea if they have a water or not and tries to max range, maybe catch them walking backwards, but it's a simple sidestep.
Hullbreaker has been picked up by Winter again. So despite the slight changes, what are the champions that can certainly benefit from the variation of switching between melee and ranged form? As you already touched on, Phage is always going to be a fantastic item for him. Still has one of the best flat ADs for Asterix later on into the game as well if he decides to go down that route.
You can't say it's too surprising into the Sion matchup either, so just a bit of extra strength for lane while still having very relevant fighting stats. Kisei.
Has Praetor been caught? Is that the question? He's been... Oh, instant cleanse. Corporal's gone in though. Turn around with the lightning crash, hit the solar flare, and give this Zeri some uptime. There's going to be a lot of lightning thunder. There's going to be a lot of crashing as he has been shut down.
Praetor's really limit testing that one.
Wow.
Gives the shutdown over. They'll be very happy to pick that one up, but look at the trade elsewhere on the map. It is getting really out of control.
Yeah. Wow, we're breaking open bases at 15 minutes into this one. 2 turrets for 1 down bot side. They baited, what, 4 members to try and take out the Zeri. Exhaust goes on to Winter. Kevy has an angle. He's still got his ultimate, and he's got a challenging smite as well. Out of vision, out of mind, but has been revealed. Ult to disengage away as PGG fight their way out of the enemy jungle.
The second the angle was there, it was just completely taken away by the collapse of both Yuri and Balkan. He ults over the wall just to get the safety. Flashless Viego wants nothing to do with that. This next Drake, we said maybe they shouldn't have contested the last one. The question is, do they try contesting the third? They've got Mythics now, so they are starting to scale into the game. And I don't want to say it's too surprising, right, that we've gone for the AD variant of the Kai'Sa. I think it is necessary. It's a Kraken Slayer as well, though, so really trying to just damage max, not looking for the mobility of the Gale Force, especially into a champion like a Leona or a Vex. You would imagine there's value in having it into a Gnar who hops in as well.
Sure.
Going straight up for damage. Why dodge enemies engaging on you when you can engage on them?
Let them come to you. Close range. Do the damage in their face. Look at everybody from Pentiment just pile drive onto that Veigar. Kisei's life is becoming a bit of a living nightmare in this one.
I mean, that blue buff wasn't real. He was really trying to sneak away the blue before PGG got there. But now that they get the kill with the objectives up, they'll get a tower, they'll get the kill, they'll get the Drake, they're threatening the mid lane inhibitor. The only transaction that Order can choose to make is realistically the bounties that they get for objectives. So they're just going to look for the top lane out of power for Puma Solo. If there is one way that Order win this game from this point, Skimmy, it is going to be the world's largest Kai'Sa just putting on a clinic.
No doubt. And that's why I start to wonder whether or not PGG even want to go for this inhibitor, right? Would they want to offer a lane of reliable gold income for Puma to farm up? And I do wonder, you know, highlighting the fact that 4K still winnable. We're now down a significant margin more than just that. If investing far too much into the late game for a team that is so aggressively tended has backfired a little bit here.
You can see the total gold there on the left of your screen as well. Pretty much everybody from Pentanet.gg doing well. Rogue, chilling down the bottom, doesn't matter. He presses W, he's still going to have an extra couple thousand of stats, why not, right? Especially with Aftershock, actually, the gold value that you have for that short period of time, pretty high.
Yeah. watching and waiting. Everybody's looking to mid lane. Afraid to push that one out. No vision as to where Order are. They're not revealing themselves anywhere on the map right now. Frantic pings from the Pentanet side as to where they could be. Now given an opportunity, step up, clear out vision, and plant their own.
Really starting to get bled out of the map here is the reality for Order. PGG have actually slowed down. No free objectives to look for anymore. Top inner turret is really the only objective that feels the freest. For Order, it's about sneaking in good wards where you can. You can see that one ward just north of where PGG are right now. Insane value. No one places control wards there, right? It just has to get swept. And PGG just waiting for their sweeper timers. And they'll try and walk through. And even now, if you just watch on the minimap the way Rogue passed, he completely avoids that ward. And Lee Sin's not a sweeper user. So those will persist.
Could hurt them. In the grand scheme of things, Falcon cops a bit of hurt himself. But just keeping these lanes in check, keeping Order deployed on the map, not able to really project forward how they want to play this game. Relegated to farming, responding, and respecting, also than anything, the lead that Pentanet have accrued.
And it is just scrounging forwards, right? Just inch by inch, take what you can from Order. Buy time, buy space, most importantly. Bio clearing waves is a sign of the times, right? When you've got Puma right next to him that needs the money more than a Scion does. They'll at least get one ward in the Baron pit. But as it stands, the second Pentanet.gg get back on the map, the lane mismatch here as well. It is super free for PGG to be hyper aggressive. They don't have to do Baron. Their Baron is okay, I would say. They don't have to do it though. They can look for the picks.
The picks have proven to be the name of the game so far this game. They have worked in their favor, allowing them to do so much in this game to put themselves in this position of power. Would hate to see them look to try and hit the burger flip. Feel unnecessary.
The last thing we
so
need.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, we do not need a 50-50 flip. No burgers. Okay, that was a W.
Here we go though. Puma does pack a bit of a punch, not giving the uptime to excel though. Cole's complete, he's got a Phantom Dance, he's got the Kraken Slayer.
So silly. It's just the most Pentanet.gg thing you'll ever see. Velcard follows that Q just right in their face, thinks I'm a W backwards like he's having fun in an A-ramp. Gets immediately punished because his opponents are good. And then the flash used by Rogue because he has to disengage now the Lee Sin's kicked. I was going to say, just seconds prior to that, you can feel how passive Order have become.
Yeah.
Right, they're really defeated by the current game state. They don't want anything to do with it.
Oh no. Of all the people to catch in this game. And they're very lucky there. Forced to burn Clancy's managed to hold him to his flash though. That's a win.
The cleanse timing was very, very nice from him and had to be perfect to get out of the Everfrost follow-up. Chance that PGG followed through on that one, but nevertheless. They will get a very important summoner for a fight. I mean, do you even fight for a Mountain Soul?
I would not like to see, I would not like them to do that. Even I'm stumbling, just trying to figure out what could be their next play. They're grouping up, however. They might look to try and pick up the members of Pentanet, but there's a fear, there's a two-man solo flare, and Winter on the flank could have the biggest Naris. It's ready to go Mega. He's turned and he's evolved and he's hopping in and he's locked two against the wall. It's easy pickings for the carries of Pentanet as they wipe the floor. Kisse gone, Puma 2, Kevy down. And they are down for 30 seconds and counting.
Yeah, they have just been blasted by PGG, just too clean with it, right? Everybody does their part in the team fight. There was no one specific person that looked exceptional besides an insane engage from Rogue, who is having an outstanding game for himself in this one. This means Drake should just be secured. Baron going to be looked at as well, and it is a Nautilus and a Scion left alive. This will take some time to be clear as well. Winter's about to tick over to Meganar, and they've left Zeri as the one person doing the Drake, so there's a world that Order actually gets here in time.
They're looking for it, but they're going to turn around again. Winter is still in that mega hits once again.
Oh,
A
the
two-man
combo.
knock into the wall. There's the fear. It's just disgusting. Penstead back-to-back with these team fights that look ever so clean. There's a conviction behind them. And yes, the ultimate misses, but Yuri just flashes on your head and gives you a taste of your own medicine with some CC to the noggin. They're getting a run down here, and Kevy claims some souls, but he just doesn't have enough staying power to break through the ranks. And they'll take down another 2 members.
Yeah, just no damage. I mean, Yuri legitimately plays them for a fool, had the stopwatch and the Zhonya's hourglass, and just creates so much space and buys so much time. And the combo to engage forward as well was exceptional. Praetor.
He wants a bit more, doesn't he? He needs some more. He needs vengeance. You performed so ever well on that Zeri. And I'm going to test my mental in this one too. The calm. The Baron has been held. Not been claimed. 2 very big, decisive team fights.
I mean, Order kind of feel good that Baron at least wasn't taken, but teleport comes in. It was seen well enough that they were able to have the Mega Gnar on Winter jumps over the wall and immediately locks down Kisei. Puma tries to get in. Yuri's gone gold. Misses the ult, but flashes forwards here to get the fear off on the Kisei, and then turns gold again. You thought you were going to get him, right? And then Leona just comes in and means that Puma's out of the fight because Leona can 1v1 you, and the rest of the team just tries to disengage while Kevy is left to the wolves. Literally just by himself struggling. Another good team fight by PGG.
So much control, so much space. Time purchased by Yuri being there, turning away all those crucial members, right? In fact, he falls down eventually. He'll be happy. Certainly be happy as to the aftermath of what that's meant for their team's position in this game. Mountain Soul is still there, obviously. Some nice mitigation to Weather the Storm or some of these scaling picks, which has always been a consideration here for Order, what they have. But we're back on for round 2 with this Baron. Order will be looking to contest once again.
And PGG very happy to turn and fight at all times, right? Leona ultimate, Yuri follows through.
Work, Rogue leads the line right now. 2-man cage, knocking them up. Corporal goes in, but it's sniped Kisei in the flank. And that's Zeri running them down. They're going to find one, turning no attention onto Kevy. It's single file here, Rusty. Corporal's going to die off screen here. Kevy has no participation in this one. And their Shadow Search misses for a second time in a row, but Puma's running to the hills as the rest of his team fall on down.
No way out of that one for BioPanther, so that will be the inhibitor mid and probably the entire game, Skimmy, just from here. Another team fight. Baron isn't necessary. Baron is simply a bait. It is a tool used by PGG to get themselves the easiest dubs, and they're chasing forwards.
They want it. They want the clean ace. They want the respect. And they want the dub. 26 minutes on this one. The quickest meeting between both of these teams. And their head-to-head rivalry, the battle for 3rd place, still belongs to Pentanet.
Really convincing victory in the end, right? They have an early comp. You heard it from the coach, you saw it in the draft. They play their early comp out, they get a lead, and then they just wipe the floor with Order and show why they are really a top 2 team. Really contesting with pace just to stay in the top 2 position, but time and again they've been improving. I think with every passing game, we've seen a better version of Pentanet.gg, which means they're terrifying come playoffs.
Yeah, and it does get ourselves very excited, right, for these occasions of meeting each other in best of 5s and sort of what it means, because we have seen very polarizing games on all 3 occasions that these 2 teams have met. And ultimately, on the night, Pentanet were able to find their way to play the game. They were able to get the early lead, as Kitty mentioned as well. Once you get that lead, it's very, very hard to recover from. And Mac, you look at a game like that, and yes, we all went for Pentanet, but there was definitely moments in which Order could find it, but maybe biting a little bit more than they could chew.
That's it, right? You were all right to do so. That didn't even look close from the get-go, you know. First blood there for PGG, and then Winterer leaked the game plan. He said, we're just going to shut Kevy down, and that's what they did from the start of the game. Kevy wasn't able to play his game at all. Look at these rotations. They knew where he was. They were just cutting him off at the pass, making sure he had no chance to carry, no room to breathe. Kisei as well, he was being bullied. That seems to be a recurring factor for Order. It was just so... And, like, they're the ones that carry, right? Like, Puma, yeah, he does a lot of the damage, but he still needs people around him that exist. If his team doesn't exist, then he can't do his thing. And we've noticed a few times in a lot of these order games, right, where Puma, his positioning has been optimal, but it's also when a lot of his lanes, they're winning. They're able to do their role. They're able to play that front-to-back position and soak a lot of the damage, keep everyone off of Puma. PGG obviously realized that. They shut down sort of the players that would be the ones drawing a lot of the attention usually. And then Puma, look, positions like this, man, he's surviving, but at the same time, this was just the end.
Yeah.
It was too far gone by this point. It's just like they were whacking a stone, right? Like, there's no point.
It takes all of his effort just to not die, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no actual freedom to auto-attack, and the only people that he was hitting was like a Leona or maybe a Mega Gnar, right? Or like there's a Lee Sin or a Vex running at him turning gold with Zodias. So it was tough. Like, it was a nearly impossible game to beat Puma if the rest of his team's losing. But that's the price you pay for the draft that you pick. Like, it is tough out here, man. Puma is probably one of the two players. He's actually probably the one player I always look at and say, that's a 1v9 player, right? Like,
Yeah.
if anyone has the potential, Puma has the potential, but this is just way too hard.
And look, off the back of that, there is no chance now for Order to slide into that third place because PGG, they're 3 wins in the lead. So even if they lose the next couple of games, there's absolutely no chance for Order to catch them and make that head-to-head happen because they don't have the head-to-head anymore. So really important game, and PGG realize that and play out of their damn minds. I couldn't have asked for much more from them. And look, everyone pumping numbers. Even the fact that Rogue had like 3.9k on a Leona. Mans is just supposed to, initiate and just tank that damage, but he was still able to hit him as much as they were hitting him.
Yeah, he was just traveling through space and time with a lot of those hooks. The ultimates were landing. They were linking out really well between himself, either the Vex or the Gnar, and guaranteeing that one space in the map, unplayable really for Order. And they were always on the back foot, always the ones that were trying to get the retake, but it just wasn't possible.
That's it. It definitely felt like a one-sided affair, didn't it, Kitty? Let's bring her back into the conversation because we have someone to talk to for the post-game.
We definitely have someone to talk to for... Well, it's going to be Praedyth, but I'm sure that Praedyth also has some words for Biopanther. So, Praedyth, Biopanther said that you can't play Zeri. Do you have any words to respond to that after that game?
He should know better after I carried him at MSI with Samira first time. He should know that I can play whatever I want. So that's his fault.
Definitely his fault. Well, let's talk about your draft. So we actually saw the Zeri Leona versus Kai'Sa Nor in the bot lane. Give us some insight on how the matchup plays out and why PGG was able to get the ball rolling so early in the game.
So we first picked Zeri and then they picked Vega, and I thought I picked Vega Leona, which is Vega Nautilus, which is a pretty good lane. Like it's good at conceding, and honestly, if this bot lane goes against us, I think it's fair to say that they should probably just concede anyways, because they're never going to beat us in a 2v2. I think they know that too, so I was really surprised when we even banned mid. I was like, I'm certain that this Vega's going bot. This guy will never beat me in lane. And then he picked Kai'Sa bot, which is meant to win lane, and we got every dragon, every herald. We're pressuring bot the whole game. We're 2v3ing. It's exactly what's going to happen if they pick like this into us. So I was very surprised that they opted for the Kai'Sa. I think that matchup is we can easily kill Nautilus because he has to go cleanse, so it's a bit tricky. But I think Kai'Sa's a lot stronger than Zeri early, so I think if you're good enough, you'll definitely win that lane as the Kai'Sa side. I think you probably should win that lane as the Kai'Sa side, but as I said, I don't think those two are very good in lane, so I think it just played out how we wanted it to play out.
Well, statistically, PGG is always going to be the better bot lane out of the two, but let's talk about your team fights. So PGG actually won 2 team fights back-to-back around Baron. So who plays the major role for these successful team fights?
I think we're just mechanically better than every team. So our coach has been doing a lot of team fight setup stuff with us. I think as long as we enter a team fight on even footing and people know their roles, then we'll win every team fight. So I think it's just a lot to do with mechanics on every player just being better than the other players in the league.
Well, you guys definitely proved to be the better players tonight. I'm gonna let you go, Praedyth, and celebrate your win. Congrats on the win once again, and see you next week.
Thank you.
essentially what he's saying is you can have all the parts to build an engine, but if you don't know how to put them together, then what good is the bloody engine? That's it.
Isn't he also saying our parts are just so sick it doesn't matter? Like, we don't need an engine, we just have sick parts.
I don't know where to put the
He's saying it all at
spoiler,
once.
but I'm going to put it on the side, and it's still going to look fully sick, but I didn't know how to mount it on the back. Anyway, look, we do have the Dare MVP for game number 2 of the day, and I feel like everyone was very much aligned on this one. It goes to the big man in the bot lane, Rogue, who was an instigator. He was everywhere. He was hitting little swords. He was bloody... Look, he only died one time, and he tanked a huge amount of damage. 68% KP and 12% gold share, which, look, is very selfless, but of course expected from a support, isn't it, Rusty?
No, I mean, Rogue had an exceptional game, right? Beyond just the stats on your screen. It only says 1-1-10, 1 death on Leona is nice to have. His KP is not exceptional, but it doesn't matter because when it came to team fights, his engages were sick, right? He was always the one standing in front of the Kai'Sa, stopping Puma from doing damage. He's the one that won the 2v2 in bottom lane as well, right? And he's the player that is actually making everything work and really was the catalyst for PGG's success. He was the glue this time around.
He was doing so much damn work. I was seeing if there were any more crazy stats out there to sort of talk with him. He had a pretty high jungle proximity, 34% as well. So, you know, working with the rest of the team for a good third of the game there as well. That's always an interesting stat and one that, you know, allows you to know that they're making plays. They're going in together. They're trying to have the numbers there. There was multiple times where it felt like I was watching Order try to sort of cheat plays, you know, break laws of League of Legends, and they were getting punished. Almost every single time you saw someone try to sneak something away, PGG were having absolutely none of it. So, you know, outstanding performance from PGG today. But also an outstanding performance from you guys at home, because from the fans, we got some questions from you to answer. And it's, of course, going to be the big Sebi saw. Would you rather everything you eat will taste a little salty, or everything you eat will taste a little spicy? Oh,
Spicy.
Can I have both? Like, that's so easy. Kitty, what's your choice?
I am a salt girl. I love my food salty, so I will definitely be going with just an extra bit of salt.
Found the league player.
I was that was exactly what I was going to say, Rusty. It's makes sense. I was hoping one of them would be a little sour because
okay? Just to be super clear with this, right? Everything will taste a little salty no matter what you eat. Will you have like anything and just like your first thought is, oh, it's a bit too salty, or is it like just a hint of salt? You know what I mean? Like.
Well, look, Sebi, if you want to send us in a follow-up question, please explain this a little further. And we've got a few more questions to get through, while Skimmy, of course, is going to keep it all a little spicy. Spider Laura, would you rather be able to move things with your mind or be able to read minds? Skimmy.
Oh, I feel like reading minds is the dangerous one, right? Because I'm sure if you're already a bit of an empath, you're already flooded with way too many emotions, right? It becomes a little bit too overwhelming. So you probably want to move things with your mind. Otherwise, your mind's going to be so flooded, you're just going to be exhausted permanently.
Yeah, I'm aligned with that. I just do way too much with reading minds. Like, you know, horrible things, great things, but always just be like finishing people's sentences and stuff just to be annoying. And
yeah.
I feel like that's probably a good one. Anyway, we've got a third question to quickly have a look at. What have we got here? Tyres, would you rather, at a random point during every job interview, blurt out, know that if the tables were turned, I would show you no mercy in Vegar's voice, or at a random point during every first date, your voice breaks into Kitty's Oz accent until you clear your throat?
Oh my God.
I'd go with the first. I'd happily take that first.
Wait, why wouldn't you pick the second one? Aren't you in a relationship? Then you're safe, right?
But I guess if you look at it that way, but what if the, you know, I don't know what the rest of
it could be a first meeting with someone. That's true. That's true.
I'd happily just be like, "How's it going, mate?" Like every time I see someone. And sorry, Kitty, but have you improved on that? I was wondering before.
I'll save it for next game, Matt.
Okay.
How's it gone?
G'day.
How's it gone?
G'day, mate.
G'day.
Mac, we need to save it for next game.
Oh, all right, we'll do it in the
too much
next
pressure.
game. But you have to. I'm only going to move forward if you promise me you bring in the next interview by saying, "How's it going, mate?"
I will promise that. Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, I'm
Beautiful.
excited now.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to make sure you can, I don't know, talk to Kitty all the time, give advice on how to actually sound Australian, more so with a bogany accent, you know, exclamation Discord in the chat. And you can jump in there, say, Kitty, this is how to do it. And, you know, you can be bloody, you know, I don't think Kitty actually wants that. She looks kind of angry at me. So don't do that. But if you do that, go into Discord and say, Max, shut up. Just go do that right now. I'll go read it, and
Okay,
I'm gonna like every single one. And look, of course, go do that. Join the Discord and keep up to date with all the community-related, good, fun stuff. And speaking of fun stuff, we got a third banger game on, and that's going to be coming up just after the break. So do not go anywhere. We have peace. We have Chiefs going blow for blow.
But it's Snipe Kiss in the flank. And that's Zeri running them down. They're going to find one. 29 attention on Kevi. It's single file here, Rusty. Corporal's going to die off screen here. Kevi has no participation in this one. And their Shadow Search misses for a second time in a row. But Puma's running to the hills as the rest of the team fall on down.